Okay, let's dive into a truly unusual story. It all starts with a single, really perplexing event that's scheduled for tomorrow. It's a mystery that weaves together American history, ancient prophecy, and modern politics. And it does it in a way I promise you've probably never heard before.
So here's the central puzzle our source material lays out for us. For America's 250th anniversary, Donald Trump is going to read a very specific passage from the Bible. Now, the question isn't whether he personally believes it. The real question is, what is this act meant to signal, and who is it signaling to? Now, this is the verse at the heart of the whole thing, and you've probably heard it before. But the source points to the context that almost everyone misses. See, this promise isn't just a standalone quote. It's actually part of a divine deal made right after Solomon's temple was finished, and it comes with a pretty terrifying warning attached. So what the source material does is put these two things side by side, and the contrast is just stark. On one hand, you have a public figure who's famous for saying he doesn't feel the need to ask for forgiveness, and on the other, you have this sacred text that is all about humility, prayer, and a serious warning about turning away from God. That disconnect is what makes you wonder, why this passage?
Okay, so to even begin to understand the theory here, we need to rewind the clock. We're going back to a symbolic foundation that was laid centuries ago, one that, according to the source, connects the founding of America itself directly to Solomon's temple.
The argument here is that Freemasonry is basically the key, the blueprint, the symbolic language for everything that's supposedly unfolding. For a lot of America's founders, the story of the temple wasn't just some ancient tale. It was a ritual they were actively participating in.
You see, Masonic initiation rites are pretty much a symbolic reenactment of building the temple. A member literally climbs the ladder, moving through the ranks of its workmen, from apprentice to craftsman. And the whole journey climaxes with the story of the temple's one and only master architect.
And this is a huge point. The hero of this Masonic drama isn't a priest or a prophet. He's a builder, a master craftsman. According to the source, this focus on the builder, the guy who gets things done, is absolutely central to this whole theory. And check this out. This is how the source connects that Masonic obsession with temple building directly to America's capital. The idea is that Washington, D.C. was intentionally designed to be a new Jerusalem, a physical manifestation of this Masonic temple-building blueprint. So, if America is the new temple, then who's the builder? Well, the source presents Trump not as a believer. Oh no, it casts him as a very specific character from the Bible's own temple-building story, a non-believing king who ends up serving a divine purpose without even sharing the faith.
The theory is that Trump is a modern-day Cyrus. Cyrus the Great was this Persian king, right? He didn't worship the God of Israel, but he was the guy God used to let the Jews return from exile and rebuild their temple. The source suggests the parallel is, well, pretty uncanny.
And look, this isn't just some fringe idea cooked up on the internet. This symbolic identity has been actively constructed and literally handed to him. This coin, which was minted by a religious body in Israel, explicitly makes that Cyrus-Trump connection, linking him directly to the future construction of a third temple. From here, the source starts pointing to this, cascade of numbers, which were supposedly presented to Trump as proof of his role. For instance, he was born exactly 700 days before the modern state of Israel was founding. And then you've got his inauguration. He took office at the precise age of 70 years, 7 months, and 7 days. Coincidence? Maybe. But in a symbolic system like this, numbers are never just accidental.
But this next one might be the most jaw-dropping of all. In Hebrew gematria, which is this mystical system of giving numerical values to letters, the name Donald Trump adds up to 424. That is the exact same numerical value as the Hebrew phrase for Messiah from the house of David.
Okay, brace yourself, because this next part of the theory, it's easily the most shocking and, frankly, the most disturbing. It connects a recent American tragedy to an ancient purification ritual that's required to rebuild the temple. So, the source starts with the hard facts, what we know for sure about the assassination of conservative commentator Charlie Kirk, who was a close friend of Trump's. Then it layers on this incredible symbolic interpretation.
Now, to get what the theory is saying, you have to understand this ancient ritual. According to the Torah, this very specific sacrifice is the one non-negotiable requirement for rebuilding the third temple. Its ashes are needed for ritual purification. Without it, the whole project is a non-starter.
And this is the absolute core of the argument. The source draws this direct symbolic parallel between the ritual requirements for the red heifer and the specific details of Charlie Kirk's life and death. The claim is that he symbolically fulfilled the conditions of this ancient sacrifice.
Okay, so finally, the whole thing comes full circle, right back to Trump himself. And it connects his really bizarre reaction to his friend's death with the warning that's hidden in the very passage he's about to read to the nation.
The source really zeroes in on this moment. When he was asked about the death of his friend, Trump immediately pivoted over and over from any kind of mourning to talking about the construction of a new White House ballroom. To many, it was just baffling. But this theory argues it was a symbolic tell.
So what's the big deal about a ballroom? Well, the key, according to this theory, is understanding the name Baal. In the Old Testament, Baal was the main other god the Israelites were always warned against worshiping. He was the god of physical stuff, of wealth and magnificent buildings, the god of results over faith.
You see where this is going, right? The killer point here is that unsettling wordplay. The source argues that in the exact moment of a symbolic sacrifice, the builder king's focus isn't on mourning but on his ballroom, a grand hall dedicated to material splendor, the very thing Baal represented.
And that's what ties it all together. Trump is reading a text that promises divine favor for building the temple, but it carries an explicit warning against the exact thing the source claims he is symbolically doing, serving the god of magnificent construction.
So there you have it. The Builder King, the Masonic blueprint, the Cyrus prophecy, the symbolic sacrifice, and that final, haunting warning against Baal. Is it all part of some hidden design, unfolding right before our eyes? Or is it just a disturbing pattern of coincidences? We've laid out the case from the source. The final conclusion is up to you.